My name is Kevin Doherty, and this is a PowerPoint on whether or not Pluto is a planet. So a little bit of background on Pluto. It is often referred to as the ninth planet in our solar system. It was discovered, excuse me, it was discovered on February 18th, 1930, and it was discovered by Clyde Tombaugh. Ever since Pluto was discovered, it has been the topic of debate whether it can be classified or a planet as a planet or not. After being discovered, Pluto was considered a planet because it was the biggest object that was seen with an orbit past Neptune. But unfortunately, 76 years later, this was changed, and many believe it can be referred to as a world, but not a planet. It is also referred to as a dwarf planet because it is so small compared to all the other planets in our solar system. And Pluto's diameter is just under 1,500 miles, which is about half as wide as the United States. So the IAU definition of a planet, the International Astronomical Union attempted at creating a definition for the word planet, but it was deemed a little bit tougher than most people thought. In the definition, there's a line that can be found which says, a planet must clear the neighborhood around its orbit, which means it can't be affected by any other objects floating in space like asteroids. It must have a clear path to go all the way around the sun. The definition began to confuse people because it produces illogical results. It's just not a great definition. You can't really define planet. It's just too difficult when there's no life on it or anything like that. So we have a couple of arguments for Pluto being a planet. So Pluto is round. It's a sphere, just like every other planet in our solar system. Well, the other 8 planets. Asteroids, on the other hand, are non-symmetrical and are more potato-shaped. That's why they are considered asteroids and not planets. It's a totally different shape. They move around on top of each other around different orbits, different ways they flip. So Pluto also has its own atmosphere as well. Just like Earth, we have an atmosphere that protects us, the ozone. It has light and dark spots on it, as you can see by looking at Mars or any other planets. There's spots that's light, there's spots that's dark. It's created by all the gases and the craters and everything that's on the planet. So this makes people think that it could be considered a planet. And also, Pluto has 3 moons, which is 2 more than Earth. Of course, other planets in the solar system have moons and some don't, so this cannot really be a factor in whether determining if Pluto is actually a planet or not. So here we have arguments against Pluto. So some scientists say that Pluto is too small to be a planet. Pluto is way smaller than Earth. As I said, it fits in the United States, not even covers the United States totally. And also, the orbit of Pluto is not circular, it's more of an elliptical, which is totally different to anything other than what we've seen with the other 8 planets. They have circular orbits that go around the sun. Pluto has this elliptical orbit, which is also tilted about 17 degrees, which is also new. This doesn't happen with any other planets. And also this tilt and the elliptical way that it moves makes it cross Neptune's orbit, which is dangerous, and this does not happen with any other planets. Of course, it most likely won't happen, but there is a thought that Pluto could connect with Neptune at some point in time and hit each other, but as I said, it's very unlikely. And from the time of the video, there was no spacecraft that has reached Pluto, but that has now changed. Uh, so Pluto travels in a crowded neighborhood that contains thousands of objects, but it is not big enough to clear them out of the way because it doesn't have a strong enough pull, it doesn't have enough gravity. In the IAU, as you said earlier, the definition says it must be big enough to clear a path, but again, the IAU definition was deemed not a true definition because it was confusing and it didn't give a grew up knowing and thinking that Pluto was a planet. So to me, Pluto will always be a planet. It's tough to change these things, but scientifically, it is not considered a planet. But there have been discoveries that where other dwarf planets were discovered because they have the same characteristics. They have the same orbits, and they're just too small to clear a path for themselves. Um, in the Pluto files, it was said that there are just not enough objects for these dwarf planets to collide with and keep growing as Earth and Mars and all these other planets did. It's unfortunate because they got stuck in the adolescence of their growing period. So I mean, the universe is massive, our galaxy is massive. Um, so it's tough to see that these planets weren't given enough mass to keep growing and become planets, or where, who knows, maybe life could be formed, but that's also unlikely because they're so far away from the sun and it's just too cold out there. But maybe one day all these asteroids will form and Pluto and all these other dwarf planets will come together and create one massive planet that would be considered a planet. But again, very unlikely. Just have to wait that one out and see. But thank you for watching my video. I hope you gained knowledge on Pluto, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.